Hey, how's it going? It's cool.
It's very nice, and then now that feels as opposite of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. No, it's definitely beneficial for things like this. Yeah. Where it's like for a mod.
Pretty much.
Didn't look at that. We have a drink.
Oh, yeah. Usually, we can put an apple on it. You can usually wait for the
Yeah.
first wave of people. So
Yeah.
get a few more start.
All right. Well, hi everyone. My name is Kevin Urbanowski with RMI. We rep from different plumbing manufacturers. I have our full line chart up here on the table if you guys are interested to grab a copy. If not, I'll send it in a PDF afterwards as well, along with some of my business cards. Today's presentation is on behalf of Zurn LK. So we'll be going over a lot of stuff from them. I always like to start out with the Zurn family. Because not a lot of people know that Zurn's kind of the parent of all these other companies underneath them. Just so you guys are familiar with all the brands that are underneath the Zurn umbrella here. World Dryer takes care of our hand dryers. LK, water fountain bottle fillers. Zurn is, really known for drains and floor drains and trench drains, things like that. But we really made a big push. We're going to talk about a lot of the other stuff in front of the wall that we've been working on for the last decade or so. And there's still a lot of stuff that firms don't know about that Zurn has. So we'll talk about some of that stuff today. Just handles our stainless steel sink. They do heavier gauges and a little thicker medical and labs. Wade, they focus on floor drains and siphonic drain systems. Hadrian does all of our lockers and partitions. Halsey Taylor, more drinking fountains. Wilkins handles our valves, so backflows, PRVs, things like that. Throw it. It's a special type of roof drain. It's got the primary and secondary built in one drain. You're able to design let roof penetrations and get those systems into one. ATS Grease Watch. They take care of our monitoring systems for our grease interceptors, and then stainlessdrains.com. In case the name didn't give it away, they do stainless drains. And they're actually a company out of Texas that we acquired. And so they do our full stainless drains portfolio. But then if Buy America is concerned, it's made in Texas. And also the lead time is very quick as well, if anything needs to be custom. They're able to do anything in stainless out of custom, whether that be a drain or grates or anything like that. So it's always a good source. If you need stuff like that. All right, so a couple other things I just like to go over, kind of housekeeping stuff. We have all of our manufacturers that are underneath the Zurn family. We've made it easier for specifiers just to find things and products in our families. So again, I'll just send this to you in a PDF, but you can go to these websites or scan the QR code. And then you can see on the right-hand side there, it'll tell you if you guys use master spec or spec-free, things like that. It'll tell you where they're located. It'll give you BIM files. It'll give you product breakdowns, all kinds of stuff, just in one place, just making it easier for you guys to navigate our full family. Share that. And then the other thing, as far as housekeeping stuff goes, Material Bank. We partner with Material Bank on both the Zurn LK side for samples. Are you guys using Material Bank at all? Familiar with it at all? Okay, so some yes and some no's. Yeah, so they handle all our samples right now. So you could just log on their website, and if you guys need samples for anything, just pick your sample, and they actually can get it to you overnight. So yeah, it's a good resource to utilize. And then when you're done with the samples, you don't have to keep it around. It takes up too much space. You just send it back to them, and it's all free of charge for you guys to use the service and everything. So again, I'll send all this in a follow up. Yeah, so now we'll start the accredited portion of the presentation. So yeah, so it is accredited. So Ryan's got me all your guys' information, AIA numbers, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll submit all that after the meeting today. You'll get the certs in your email right away. But if anybody's AIA or looking at certs, they do batch submit every other week. So just look out for them in about a month in case, just depending on when they batch submit, we might make it, we may not. But within a month, generally everything is recorded and updated for you guys. So just to be aware of that. Yeah, so really this presentation is really going to focus on what we've seen in the market as far as public restroom design, what kind of products we're seeing more widely used and spec. We'll go into some of like how these products have changed over time and things like that. Yeah, first being hand washing systems, right? A lot of manufacturers are focusing on these all-in-ones. Basically, you pick your basin style. Generally, they'll have like 6 to 7 different to choose from. You'll pick your faucet and your soap dispenser, and it's kind of like an all-in-one for you guys. Very easy to spec, and then very easy for the contractor to install as well. So yeah, that's what we're seeing, kind of like the industry going for certain applications. And then yeah, so we'll talk about the hand washing systems a little bit. Yeah, so we did a big study in Zurn Elke, and a couple of things that we found is people really prefer their own space in the restroom. 30-inch sinks are kind of like the standard now as far as the minimum goes. And then an alarming result. I really don't like to say this stat when people are eating lunch, but generally what we found during the study here is only around 30% of men wash their hands after using the restroom, and 60% of women. So women are much better, but I think we all have some work to do. And yeah, and they also did a follow-up that's like, well, why, what would make you, what would increase that score? And believe it or not, the nicer the restroom looked and the more sanitary the hand washing area was, the more apt people were to wash their hands. So I know it's mind blowing, right? That something looks nice, we'll have to use it to wash our hands. But that was the takeaway from that. So thus, manufacturers started focusing on the aesthetic of the commercial side more so. So yeah, solid surface. You'll notice that a lot of our designs too, as we go through this, our basins, they don't have any sharp ledges or edges to them. Very easy to clean. It minimizes the bacteria buildup in there. It has an appearance of looking cleaner. So when people do go to wash their hands, it's just about that perspective, right? And it's very functional as well. So yeah, just a couple of different color options as well. I feel like these are ever changing, so just check the latest when you guys are ever interested in that kind of stuff. And of course, our basic, porcelain things, thinking about ADA always, and water sensitive ADA. Oh, let's go kind of get through this. Yeah, so I guess the other part to this is is the faucets and soap dispensers. For a long time, we heard, man, we love the commercial products, but from the design community, they're like, man, one, they're ugly, and two, you guys don't give us much of a finish other than chrome. So yeah, so we focused really on, offering more finishes and then offering different styles as well. And yeah, so we're starting to see an increase in our finished plumbing, faucet soap dispensers. One thing I do like to mention too is all of our faucets do have matching soap dispensers as far as style and finish go. So just again, making it easier for you guys to spec. And then the automatic stuff's a lot more efficient when it does work, right? That's been a big focus for us as well. We're on our, believe it or not, 6th or 7th generation of different sensor within the products. A lot of different things kind of were thought of affects the operation of those sensors. The angle of the basin, how much lighting's in the restroom, the angle of the lighting, the material of the sink basin, if someone has a watch on or not, the material of the shirt sometimes, if they can interfere with that. So there was kind of like a lot of unknowns, and that's why I'm sure we've all had the experience in the restroom, right? We go to stick our hand in front of the soap and nothing, right? Game of chicken. And then when you pull it away, it ends up working, right? So, but now what we've done is we've actually made these, they've always been field adjustable, but they had to go up underneath the unit, find the dip switches and kind of adjust the strength that way. But now what we have is they're able to connect, the contractor is able to connect to the faucet or soap dispenser via Bluetooth. So it's just an app now, and they just go up to it, they get within the vicinity and it connects, and then they can adjust the strength and really take care of most of the process in the field pretty quickly. Different types of flows. Yeah, so next we'll go to power sources. When you guys do spec automatic fixtures, what is generally your go-to power source?
Don't usually. Our engineers.
Yeah,
Okay, engineering.
I think we're gonna let the GC figure it out, or the engineer provides the circuit, low voltage for it.
Okay. So we'll go over some different power options so you guys are aware of these exist. You know, batteries pretty typical nowadays. We hear a lot of batteries. Plug-in, and then a 10-year lithium. I'll explain more into that in a second. And then hardwiring. Just so you guys are aware, hardware is going to be your most expensive product. You got to get another trade involved. You got to run all the circuits in the restroom, all that kind of stuff. Same thing with the plug-in, right? You got to run all your plugs, things like that. Battery, the downfall of that is generally it's about a 2-year life in a commercial setting. So they're constantly having to replace all these batteries and all these different fixtures, which, believe it or not, they have to have a recycling program. They have to keep the batteries in stock, order them. It's a pain point, right? So then you see your 10-year lithium, and that's really where we've been focused on letting everybody or the community know that these products exist. So what we've done is we've actually put a little hydro generator into our faucets and flush valves now. And what that does is you can see the unit on the left-hand side there. It'll spin this little water wheel that you see up there every time the faucet operates. It'll keep those batteries charged. So you eliminate the headache of having all the batteries headaches, and then you eliminate the extra trade, more expense on the front end of the actual unit. And we're guaranteeing a 10-year battery life on all these fixtures. So it's a good happy median. And for any seasonal facilities, they actually it's self-monitoring for the amount of charge that's left in the system. So it'll just automatically turn itself on if the charge in the battery gets too low. It'll just bring that up. Any facilities where water quality is an issue and maybe they're purging the line every so often, you can actually just set self-purge cycles for these systems as well. So that's really cool technology. The other pain point in faucets is actually how the faucet itself works. Most of them work with what's called a solenoid. And all that is, it's a little plunger that just moves in and out of the waterway to allow water to either flow or stop. The other problem with faucets and flush valves is those solenoids, the water minerals build up on the tips of those solenoids. And over time, they just, basically that's what causes your faucet to leak because the solenoid can't close all the way. And then that water just kind of drips through as the faucet's not being used. So what we came up with is a brass cartridge here. And in the middle of that brass cartridge, there's 2 ceramic discs. So that's the only thing that water actually touches in the whole unit when it flows through the faucet. And the beauty of ceramic is it's harder than any mineral deposits in your water. So every time the faucet operates, these 2 ceramic discs rub against each other and actually self-clean any minerals that do build up when that water flows through. So again, just really what we focus on sustainability as far as batteries go. And then total cost of ownership for your building owners, right? If they're not having to replace solenoids, they're gonna have to replace batteries. That's a cost reduction both, products and labor to them over the lifespan of this process, over the lifespan of the, the faucet or flush valve. So, yeah.
The aqua spec ceramic, this, like the thing, the hydropower basically. Where's that device?
Oh, I'm actually, that's gonna be the next, that's gonna be our next slide here.
It's upstream of the faucet, right?
So it's actually in the, you'll see it here, but it's in the supply side.
Yeah. It has.
So your water will come in from your supply, and then it sits up right underneath. So, and then if you have faucets right now that are automatic, most of them you could actually add a hydro unit to, because of the way it was designed and developed.
And then that'll take up some real estate, like as designers, what do we have to account for in the back of that space, right? You had a bit of a view.
Yeah, so yeah, you'll, it's a pretty typical, amount of space that, just like anything else would be underneath there. So, yeah, there's really nothing too much extra. It's just, so if you would eliminate the hydro, which is in the middle there, right? Pretty much on all the automatic fixtures, you will get that, that's where the batteries are housed down there. So yeah, without that hydro, the battery unit would just kind of sit in there. So it kind of just takes up that space in between.
There's one for each faucet,
Yeah.
but so they don't gang together at all.
Yeah, and so what we're working on right now is we've tested soap dispensers with this. Unfortunately, soap doesn't flow enough to produce enough power for that wick return. But we do produce extra power at the faucet. So what they're working on now is a separate plug for soap dispensers in the future to be able to just plug that soap dispenser into so you kind of get like an all-in-one. So that technology has actually been around for about, we're going on 6 years with that now. And then just as of last year, we actually redesigned, worked with outside design communities to redesign our flush valves. So they've got a new look. They've got 2 additional colors now as well, a brushed nickel and a matte black. And then we brought that same HydroX technology to the flush valves as well. So again, just not having to worry about really maintaining too much in your restroom as far as fixtures. So, on power or anything? We good? All right. Oh, and yeah, and then again, so we chose to go the hydropower route. There's other companies that do offer solar power. So just be aware of that. Drawback to solar power is, most efficient restrooms now will turn the lights off when they're not used. So you've got that drawback, and then those solar cells have a lot less life than a hydro would. So we're hearing from the field every about 4-ish years, they're having to replace those solar cells. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, so the other side to this is connected products. Is everybody familiar with products that talk to like a building management system or anything like that? Hello? Yeah, I won't spend too much time, but yeah, just know that the connected products, they'll talk to a building management system and/or we have our own connected system. And then if you're working on like a lead project, you can monitor the gallons of water you use for the auditing purposes. And then as far as a maintenance standpoint, they will be able to, every product will be able to give the maintenance staff a little bit different analytics, time of day usage, so they can kind of schedule their cleanings. For instance, like anything that has like a filter on it, it would alert that the filter needs to be changed. Faucets, if they are battery operated, will alert them that the battery is low, need to be changed, things like that. So, so there's definitely some value to that. Does everybody remember these in middle school and high school? Meters. Still have them. They're still spec today. Hand dryers. Are we specking hand dryers? Yeah. I guess the biggest takeaway from hand dryers, they have them in all kinds of different finishes. But yeah, we just always highly recommend stacking them with the HEPA filter. That the air in the restroom is generally where people go if they're not feeling well, or, it's a smaller confined space. So hand dryers suck in air at a rapid rate, and then they blow that, air, whatever air is, in the restroom down on your, clean hands, right? And without a HEPA filter, we see a significant amount of bacteria on the hands, without a HEPA filter after using a hand dryer. So just something to be aware of. Of course, different styles there. Are you guys specking any water closets? You guys get anything? Water closet? What's up?
Our consultant do.
Any lead projects, like a gold lead project, or where you do go to a 1-1 system versus the 1-2-8?
Yeah, we have those here.
The 1-1s?
Yeah, in this building, I think we have 1-1s.
Yeah, so just something to be aware of, if you guys ever do get to design or work with engineers that are specing a 1-1 system. We've done a significant amount of research, in our lab in Cary, North Carolina. Basically, it was two guys' job for 2 years to take every manufacturer's carrier, flush valve, and bowl and put them together, and then measure the line carry and how much waste it would evacuate out of the bowl, and measure the distance of that. You can imagine for 2 years straight how fun that was for those guys. But what they found is from going to a 1-2-8, which is pretty standard in every system that's widely used here in the U.S. Just going down from 1-2-8 to a 1-1, there was a significant difference in performance and line carry for the waste. So if you do start to work on a 1-1 system, just know that, try and select a manufacturer that has engineered all their components to work as a unit, versus a 1-2-8, you can kind of get away with mixing and matching different components, and still kind of achieve a line carry that's acceptable, where you probably won't see plugs in the line. But then you go down on the 1-1 system, and then only that slight reduction of water, you'll start or what we started noticing on our technical side is a lot more phone calls. And that's the first question we'd ask is, hey, do you have a 1-1? And if the answer is yes, we have a tree of kind of like how to treat that issue, right?
I mean, you said line carry, just basically clearing the line. Is that what that means?
Yeah, so what they would do is line carry is how far the waste goes down the line after it evacuates from the bowl. So when you have a reduction of water, there's just less water to push that waste down line. And you would think, all right, going from 1-2 to 1-1, well, that's not very much water reduction, right? But what we see is generally a 1-2-8 system will carry depending on what makeup you make of it, it'll carry around, right around like that 35-inch foot mark. I'm sorry, 40 foot mark, but then just going down to 1-1, you get down into the 20s actually. And it's just like 0.12, gallons of water less, right? So it's, yeah, it's a pretty significant jump actually. All right. So, yeah, and then the other thing to think about too, a lot of manufacturers too, on their flush valves, if they're automatic, they'll have like a little override button, so to speak. And just making sure that you spec one with a true manual override. A lot of the sensors, they're actually just touch sensors. So if the unit were to run out of batteries or power for any reason, you wouldn't be able to flush the toilet on some manufacturers' automatic flush valves. Ours are all true manual override, as of about 4 years ago. We made the switch. So just something to keep in mind. Trench drains, are you guys specking any trench? So full trench drain portfolio, just depending on what your application is, I'm sure it's probably just standard room temperature water. I'm sure you guys aren't too crazy, maybe from a shower or something as well. But yeah, for anything over 140, for sure, recommend or, to stainless. And then grade selection is also important, not only looking nice, but, just thinking about, the actual application and everything involved. We see so many times that a light duty trench will get spec'd for, light duty grade will get spec'd for like a hotel application, because that's rated for pedestrian traffic, right? But the luggage also rolls over that.
I
And,
mean, what we're seeing is heel rated, really.
yeah, heel rated as well.
Like everything else is like, oh, from what we're, from what.
Yeah, heel proof is always, we see that so much. And then have you guys seen any of the elevator threshold drains at all in this area? So it started in San Francisco, and it kind of made its way over to New York last year. Any 5-story building or above, they have to have elevated threshold drains in front of every elevator on every floor. Just in the situation where that sprinkler system goes off, they can catch all of that water on every floor because they want to reduce the risk, even though you're not supposed to use an elevator when there's a fire situation. But if people do have to use it, they want to reduce the risk of any water getting down in the elevator shaft, possibly following out, that elevator. So they're requiring it from any buildings 5 stories and above, as of last year.
I think we have the requirement to provide the threshold, and we've been asked for the threshold for one type of the elevator. I want to say, it's the elevator against that. I have never seen like a trench.
Yeah.
It seems overkill.
Yeah, so it's not really a trend. It's a shallower drain. We specifically designed it for that, so it can handle up to 100 gallons a minute of water, and it's really not that deep. 3 inches or so.
We have this on hand in house. We need to watch out for this high rise
Yeah.
applications.
Yeah. So
Maybe changing code things too that we need to hit in.
yeah, and in an elevator application, the drain has to be rated for that 100 BPM, so we're not able to customize. But where we actually sell more, they found a use for is in hotel lobbies actually. So they'll actually just take this drain and make it fit their design, especially in the Northeast where you get more snow. They'll put in the lobby just to clean, just keep that lobby a little cleaner. But we have a separate. It's the same exact thing, but you're able to customize it, just a slightly different item number. And of course, they have heel-proof grades and things like that. You guys get anybody that wants custom drain covers? we can do them. How about green roofs? Any green roofs? Yeah. So we've got fully accessorized drain options for that kind of stuff. These paver slot drains have been popular over the past couple of years. We could also introduce these low-profile domes, just in case that buildup, interferes with that standard dome. You could spec that low-profile dome. And of course, we got all kinds of different strainers and things like that as well. Downspout nozzles. Of course, we have our standard there. Everybody's probably familiar with that. But we've got a new family. It's powder coated aluminum, so it's not raw metal like the one you're typically used to. Generally on those, you'll see the building staining underneath of them from the water running through. On the powder coated aluminum, that doesn't happen because it's powder coated and it doesn't bleach any of the metal out of the downspout. The other thing that they come standard with is in those 5 colors, but we can also customize them to any color that you guys could think of. And then they also come standard with the rodent traps on them too. So kind of like an all-in-one, just a little nicer for you guys. And then the tongue on these, standard is 4 inches. These are 2.5, so they're a little bit shallower of a tongue too. And that's it for that part. Any questions so far? Cool. Some Steve's here. So we'll talk about some water coolers now. Are you guys specing water coolers, bottle fillers, things like that? All right, cool. So yeah, we'll talk about some new stuff from the LK side. Yeah, so we've updated the graphics and come out with 2 new colors as of early this year on our enhanced series. So we've got a black and a white option for you guys. Filters, these all ship standard now with a 6,000 gallon filter capacity. So that's about a 1-year use in a standard commercial facility. So just making filter changes less frequent. The other thing we made, or the other change we made to the unit is now they all have that quick down wrapper like you see on the left-hand side there. It used to be that they used to have to take this whole shroud off, really big pain, about 8 screws, and having it be on the ground and stuff. Now it's just 2 screws up top and it folds down like you see there. And then all of our filters also have RFID chips in them for a couple of reasons. There were counterfeit filters going around the market about a year or 2 ago, causing issues for building maintenance / people. And then the other thing that does is it actually automatically resets the filter like now, so they don't have to do anything special, and resets the bottle count or light and everything. And then we've also changed the filter lights. Believe it or not, people used to call maintenance crews and things like when the light was yellow, and they were afraid to drink the water, and told them to change the filter, but it needed to be red for that to happen. So now we've just reduced that confusion, and we've made them all blue. And then we also do have a PFAS and PFAS level filter. Anybody familiar with, have you heard any talking, anything like that? Kind of like deemed the new lead of our generation. It's an extra stuff in the water. It's being widely talked about, especially in the filtration side of things amongst the manufacturers. LK was one of the first large manufacturers a couple of years ago to have a PFAS level filter. You'll notice the reduction in capacity there. So when we talk about things like lead, bacteria, cysts, sediment, things like that, we talk about parts per billion. PFAS, we talk about parts per trillion. It's significantly smaller molecule, but it is, there are a lot of health concerns with it, especially in the youth and anybody developing. You guys can do further research. I could actually talk about, I have a whole presentation on filtration that goes into it for about an hour. So I can sit here.
Is the byproduct of creating Teflon products, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's anything non-stick, right? And it's anything manufactured nowadays to be non-stick. It's in that, right? So big heavy users right now would be Gore-Tex materials. So anything Gore-Tex, any like your rain jackets or anything that are water resistant. Generally, there's some kind of PFAS chemical on that to make that hydrophobic,
I understand it's not the product itself. Like a Teflon pan won't give you a higher PFAS contamination. It's rather the manufacturer and disposing of these things that are just like completely leaching onto the waterway system.
Yeah, so really the biggest offender of this whole thing was Dow Chemical Corporation back in, I think, the 60s. Yeah, and that was just in West Virginia, just west of us, where they created the PFAS chemicals. And they would dump all that waste into that river, right? And then it just flowed, and that was kind of like how this all got started. But we've been producing these products now for about 50 years, right? And what have we done is we've thrown all these products away. They've ended up in landfills. Well, the products themselves will degrade and kind of get eaten up in a landfill over time. The PFAS chemical was engineered to not ever break down. So it's resistant to extreme heat, any biological breakdown, anything like that. So what we're finding is it's actually, the products are breaking down, but then that PFAS, residual PFAS, is just kind of getting washed into the waterways as well. So yeah, it's coming from a bunch of different sources. And, 40, 50 years ago, there was a limited amount of products we were creating with it now. Now everything from your microwave popcorn bags to go containers, inside of liners for soda cans, it's everywhere, right? So yeah, it's a pretty big deal. And I won't go too far deep into the weeds anymore, but yeah, there is a level of filter that you need to filter that stuff out of your water. A basic filter will not filter PFAS. So, but yeah, so that's just a little education on filter side. We've got these in-home, nicer bottle filling units. They were designed for higher end homes, but we're finding them in nicer conference rooms. Just ran into an engineering firm yesterday that had one in their little kitchen they had. And they've got a remote chiller that can be placed anywhere within 20 feet of the unit, as well as filtration. Currently available in both white and black. Couple different looks. But yeah, we're seeing them in hotels now, hotel gyms, like I said, conference rooms, things like that. Vandal resistant, if you ever get anything vandal resistant, bottom floors and fountains. We've also got a new unit coming out. It's going to be our addition to the family, called Pro Filtration. This is starting to ship in July. Fully stainless steel construction for the unit, just giving the aesthetic a little bit nicer look. And then we relocated the filters now to the top of the unit, just making it easier. Standard for the Pro Filtration is going to come in at 10,000 gallon capacity. And then if you add that pre-filter to the unit, it'll increase that by 6,000 gallons. So 16,000 gallon total capacity in this unit, and just a little bit easier to change. Of course, it gets the quick change wrapper underneath, things like that. And then the other addition to this unit is we're going to have a UV disinfection light for the bottle filling water. So that'll kill any bacteria in the water. If Legionella is a concern or anything like that, it'll take care of that as well. So that's what we've got going on the LK side. Do you guys get any roof drain design at all? Does it affect your product or projects? Has anybody ever heard of or worked on a project with a siphonic system? So the siphonic works a little bit different from your gravity system. We're about 99% gravity in this country, and about 1% siphonic currently. Europe for the last 40 years has been the opposite. They do about 99% siphonic and about 1% gravity. Siphonic systems operate in a different way. What they do is they actually create a vacuum within the system. And as soon as it goes siphonic, it'll actually start sucking the water off the roof. There's a couple benefits in doing that. Generally, you can use about half the size diameter pipe within the system. So if you're designing a 4 or 6 inch system, you can go down to a 2 or 3. You'll see in that bottom right-hand corner, a gravity system has each individual leg. A siphonic system collects in one central point, wherever the designer shall pick. And it'll actually exit the building in one location as well. And you can pick anywhere within the project to exit the building. So it just gives you a lot of freedom with your design as far as that stuff goes. And then the other benefit to a siphonic system would be you run no pitch in your system. So all these pipes in the system are run completely flat, no pitch. So you don't have to have any extra ceiling chase for any of these runs. Interesting, right? Yeah.
Not buying.
So you're waiting on the drawback, right? You're waiting on the drawback.
Sure.
Everybody always is.
Where's the peak trap? Like that's.
Our goal is slow fall as opposed to increase.
Yeah, and you can have these with like a controlled system as well. They have different ways in doing that. It would just be built in essentially to the siphonic system itself with some kind of flow control. We just ran into that the other day. But yeah, so the differences in this versus a gravity system is these are a completely engineered system, so they kind of fall outside of code jurisdiction in a lot of ways. And it used to be that we used to rely on the engineers to buy the special software, learn it, and then see this to the end of the project. That was back in the 90s when they tried to introduce it in the US. Complete failure. It was a mess. The software wasn't great, and the engineers basically tried it one time, went through a whole bunch of headaches, and they said, "All right, let's just go back to gravity. It works. It's way easier." So they kind of left it alone. But now what we have and other manufacturers have is they'll have their own team of siphonic. That's all they do is design siphonic systems. And that's exactly what we have at Zurn. Doesn't cost anything. And then, so basically what would happen is if you guys were interested in using one of these systems on a project, I would connect you with the Zurn siphonic team. They would do an initial analysis of the project, kind of let you guys know. They do a cost analysis, what that all looks like. and just kind of work with you on the front end. And then if the project was deemed a good candidate for a siphonic system, they would just work with you every step of the way to achieve this thing from start to finish. So it's a really good option for you guys, just to know about if you guys would like to learn more about it. Again, I have a whole hour presentation on just siphonic systems in general, how they work, why they work, all the little nuances of the systems. I actually get the director of the siphonic program to give it because he's been doing this for, he's actually in Scotland, so he's been doing this for about 20 years. He actually helped develop the software that a lot of companies use now. So he just has a whole bunch of knowledge on just the whole siphonic topic. So it's a really good presentation if you guys are interested. But yeah, any questions on siphonic?
Does it work well with a green room?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They,
You don't necessarily want to suck all the water out immediately.
No. So that's what that's what I was, we worked on the other day is they'll have different ways to kind of control that water flow before it either gets to the drain. In situations where the drain doesn't go siphonic, because you do have to have so much rainfall to overcome the system, and it has to. So how it actually works is you'll see the air bubbles on the left-hand side there. There's a baffle plate on top of the drain, and that job of the baffle plate is actually to purge air out of the system. So as water's flowing in at just a gradual rate, it'll just work like a standard gravity roof drain system. So, and up until that, like I said, that baffle plate kind of burps all that or purges all that air out of that water, and then it goes siphonic. It really won't flow at high velocity until that happens. Now, in a standard rainstorm, well, depending on how many inches you're getting per hour, but that'll happen fairly quickly. But again, we can introduce flow control measures to different systems to achieve, what you'd be looking for.
Minimum roof area or number of drains that you need to have to make it work, or you can do it with one drain?
Yeah, it all depends on project size, what the roof looks like, how it's pitched. There's a whole bunch of different variables. But they'll take all that into account when they design the system. So yeah, but to your point, sometimes in a lot of situations, actually, they use less of them in the project versus like a gravity system would. But again, it's just really all dependent on what that specific project looks like. Right. And just to let you guys know too, so your secondary system, they can do a hybrid approach. It doesn't have to be siphonic. It can be siphonic. But sometimes they'll do a hybrid approach as well. So yeah. Any other product categories that you guys are interested in that you use often? Any other headaches or things that you think would be good to go over? I'm sorry.
Hose bibs?
Hose bibs. We do have a some in the family. What particular were you?
Well, we'll have sometimes up on a roof, so that, they,
Yeah.
whatever, and then you want to like winterize it, so then you're like trying to put a valve with a drain up into the ceiling of the corridor below.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I really don't have any, other than our website, I really don't have any too much, on that. But I can send you, I can pull up, it would take me a minute to find all that, but I can send it to follow up what we do have. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we have a whole bunch of different ones, with freeze protection, things like that. So yeah, I'll send you some info on that. You guys, specing anything like faucets for, anything like that, or are you guys, like any type of residential style faucets or anything?
Well, the selections are made by the clients,
Okay,
our interior designers.
okay,
They weigh in on the style and the finish, but it's terms of specifying the particular fixture, It's really in the hands or, engineers.
Okay, I'll just go over one other product it's been gaining a lot of traction. People have seemed to really like it.
So that being said, even though they're spec oftentimes in construction,
Mhm.
things are changed for a variety of reasons.
But typically we have the owner and designers
Yeah.
leading the aesthetics and then energy and lead on performance, coupled with our
Yeah.
engineers. Yeah, we have to check in with everyone.
Okay, yeah.
Whenever this happens, we don't typically just like pick.
Okay, well, well, it's good to know these exist. We have these 2-in-1 faucets now, since we're so focused on filtration. So it actually just looks like a standard faucet. But what it does is it has a filtration piece to it. So still has your pull down nozzle, still operates like a normal faucet with the flow and then the spray there. But out of the front of it, you'll see there, if the user pulls the handle forward, it'll actually dispense filtered water out of your faucet. So you don't have to have a separate beverage filler next to the faucet like we typically see. Everything can be done in just one place with this guy. And then just to give you guys a look, it used to ship with, this is a standard filter, but now they all ship with a PFAS level filter. And that's just what it would look like underneath the sink. So anytime you use that faucet, pull the handle forward, it would just dispense filtered water. And the life of the filter, if you were to use it's about 7 gallons a day with a year's usage. So not too many people generally use about 7 gallons a day. So we typically say they're good for about a year before replacing them. And then these particular ones are available in 3 different finishes as well.
What's the operation feel like? Like if I have tons of guests coming to my house and they start doing dishes out of the kindness of their hearts, start to filter water instead of like, oh, I need it to be hot, I need it to be cold. Is there a sensory thing that tells me I'm about to enter the filtered realm of use?
Yes, so it only dispenses cold water of the filter portion. And then it'll come out it'll come out just in that kind of how that stream is here. So
I get it, but like in the control.
Oh, yeah, so
It didn't, can you accidentally go filter is my question.
no, because of just how that kind of see it. Yeah, you kind of see it right here in the bottom left-hand corner. So when you use a normal faucet, it'll just open up like a normal faucet, and then you have to actually pull it forward. And there's like a little action that you'll feel to get that, to turn that filtered water on, versus, when you open up the handle in a normal situation, like how you normally pull it out on a style faucet. Yeah, it'll just be different in that respect. So I'm in the middle of getting samples, because that's my number one question is like, how do you feel? Like, does it feel different? But it does in a way, and it makes sense when you actually get to use it. The other thing it'll let you know is there's a little filter indicator down there on the bottom. So that light will light up, just telling you that you're using filtered water. But yeah, other than that, it'll operate like a normal faucet. And then we also do sell these filter kits if they're ever interested in just filtering. A lot of people like to attach them to their refrigerators, especially with the PFAS level now. Just so their filtered water in their refrigerator's PFAS level, and then if it makes ice, it's also free of PFAS. But yeah, any other questions, guys? Well, that about does it for me. It was nice to meet all of you, and thank you. I just focus on architects, engineers. So you guys ever have a question, product questions, recommendations, can't find something, please reach out. I always tell everybody, don't spend too much of your time looking for something, because I get questions all week long, and I could probably get you an answer pretty quick. And if I can't, I'm connected with all the engineering teams that can. So yeah, please reach out.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time. Okay.
No, not from around here, like,
One thing about your saying.
There's like.
It seemed to me